Look, the work you do every single day, it's incredibly demanding, but it's also absolutely vital. So today, I want to share a powerful psychological tool with you, a way for you to not just get through the challenges of your job, but to actually thrive in it. So let me just start with a question for you. What do you think is the single belief that best predicts who's going to succeed, who's going to push through the tough times, and who's going to feel capable when the pressure is on? Now, you might think the answer is about raw talent or just, thinking positive, but it's not. It's a specific kind of confidence, one that you can actively build and control. Because you see, the right kind of belief is so much more than just a good feeling. It's the engine for your performance. It's what actually drives your motivation, what makes you commit to your goals, and what helps you bounce back when things get really tough. It literally determines how much effort you put in and for how long you stick with it.
And that engine, it has a name. We're going to spend the next few minutes breaking down this idea of self-efficacy, which is a really powerful concept from a psychologist named Albert Bandura.
Okay, so what is it really? To put it simply, self-efficacy is your belief in your own ability to get a specific thing done. Notice I said specific. This isn't some vague, general feeling of confidence. It's that voice in your head that says, yep, I can handle this presentation, or I've got the skills to get through this difficult conversation.
Now, this is super important. People get self-efficacy and self-esteem mixed up all the time, but they are fundamentally different things. Self-esteem is about your overall sense of worth as a person. Am I a good person? Self-efficacy is all about your capability for a certain task. Think of it this way. You can have sky-high self-esteem, but have really low self-efficacy for, public speaking. And that doesn't make you feel any less valuable as a person. It's about what you feel you can do, not about who you are.
And this right here, this is probably the most empowering part of this whole idea. Self-efficacy is malleable. It's not some fixed personality trait that you're just born with. It is a skill. And like any other skill, it can be learned, it can be practiced, and it can be strengthened with the right kinds of experiences. You are in the driver's seat. So the big question is, how do we build it? Well, Bandura identified 4 main sources that shape our beliefs about our capabilities. I like to think of them as the 4 legs of a table. Each one helps build a stable, strong foundation of self-belief. All right, here they are, and they're actually ranked by how powerful they are. Number 1, the absolute biggest, is mastery experience. That's succeeding at something yourself. Next up is vicarious experience, which is basically learning by watching someone who's like you succeed. Third is verbal persuasion, getting specific encouragement from someone you trust. And finally, there's learning to manage your physiological and emotional states, things like stress or fatigue, before you tackle a task. Okay, so all 4 of those are important, but for our purposes today, we're going to laser focus on the 2 most powerful and practical tools that you can start using right away in your work: creating mastery experiences and giving really effective, positive feedback. Bandura himself called mastery the most potent source, and that just makes sense, right? Nothing convinces you that you can do something quite like actually having done it before. Every past success builds this incredibly robust belief that you can succeed again in the future. It's the bedrock. So what does this actually look like in your world? Well, every time you successfully de-escalate a tense situation, that's a mastery experience. When you finally get the hang of that new, complicated documentation system, yep, that's one too. Leading a great team meeting, helping a resident hit a personal goal, navigating a tough conversation with a family member, these are not just tasks. Think of them as deposits into your self-efficacy bank account. All right, let's talk about the next big tool, verbal persuasion. This is all about using the power of feedback. But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. For encouragement to actually work, it has to come from someone you view as credible and trustworthy. Generic praise like good job from just anyone doesn't really land. But specific, insightful feedback from a supervisor or a colleague you respect, that can be a total game changer. So here's a super simple, actionable model you can use to give that kind of feedback. It actually comes from sports psychology. First, you point out something specific they did really well. This kind of primes them to hear what's next. Then, you provide your clear, constructive criticism. And you always finish with a word of encouragement. It's a simple sandwich that builds people up instead of tearing them down. Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. When you focus on creating these mastery experiences, these small wins, and you combine that with giving powerful positive feedback, you are actively building the core of your resilience.
And it's a toolkit you're creating not just for yourself, but for your entire team.
This model right here shows exactly how this amazing cycle works. If you look on the left, you see the sources we've been talking about, mastery, feedback, and how they feed into your belief in your capability. Now follow the arrows. That stronger belief directly boosts your performance. You set higher goals, you try harder, you persist longer. And here's the best part. That improved performance creates new mastery experiences and generates more positive feedback, which starts the whole powerful upward spiral all over again.
So why does all this matter? I mean, what's the real takeaway? Because having high self-efficacy isn't just a nice to have. It directly leads to higher motivation. It makes you way more resilient when you hit those inevitable bumps in the road, and it's a massive buffer against the stress and burnout that, let's be honest, can be so prevalent in this field. At the end of the day, it improves performance for everyone, for you, for your team, and, most importantly, for the residents you serve.
So I'll leave you with this final thought, this one question to take with you. Knowing everything we just talked about, what's one small, achievable mastery experience you can intentionally create this week? Maybe it's for you, maybe it's for a colleague, maybe it's tackling a small task you've been putting off, or setting a teammate up for a win so you can give them that great feedback. Because building real, lasting resilience, it always starts with one successful step at a time.